Hey, what's up, guys? It's Alpine Sniper, and we have today Dev Briefing 191 from Team 17. Basically, they're breaking their silence on the backlash that came from Update 14. Let's go ahead and look into some of the things that they're going to be talking about in this Dev Brief. It's pretty lengthy and one of the longest ones that I've seen come out of Hell Let Loose, so let's go ahead and start breaking it down. To summarize this brief, it looks like we'll be going into player locomotion, how they're going to be addressing patches and future updates, as well as the British forces, legacy bugs, and also it looks like they'll be bringing back PTEs, which is a good thing. Some of these snippets from the dev brief are a little long, so I'm going to paraphrase, and you guys can pause this screen and read them for yourselves. These are directly from the dev brief 191. So they start the dev brief out immediately, basically going into the fact that the 2023 roadmap that they expressed very recently is no longer going to be followed. Basically, they're looking to implement an entirely new roadmap. They're going to be stepping back from the content that they had planned for the year and implement fixes and updates that make the health of the game better rather than just piling more and more content that doesn't fix the base issues. It also looks like they're going to be withdrawing from their 50-player small-sided game mode, which it basically server owners figured out pretty early that it's going to be splitting the player base. It seems Team 17 has finally taken that into account, realized that that's probably not the best direction to go with the game, and is going to be focusing on patches, updates, and bringing more content to what is already here. So you're going to be seeing more 100-player warfare and offensive maps. They've also addressed the fact that cosmetic DLC will continue, which is fine with me as long as it's historically accurate, which it does seem Team 17 is saying that's what they want to promote as well. We'll see how that goes in the future. Their shift in focus now is going towards the beginning of these smaller patches, beginning with 14.2 and 14.3. Seems 14.2 will be more of a revert and testing some smaller changes with player locomotion and making things kind of back to where they were prior to 13.5. And then 14.3 will be the meat of a larger patch with more changes that will kind of lead us into the direction that the game is going to be moving forward in the future. So the first PTE will be conducted for 14.2 on July 20th. And it's going to be testing, like I said, the removal of the recent changes and assess some of the broader impacts of adjustments that came with Update 14. Team 17 also addresses the fact that they're going to be reverting the speed changes, which, not everyone wants that. However, none of this is finalized, and they're going to be carrying out the PTEs so that they can kind of narrow down what the best speed is for Hell Let Loose, as the interaction between infantry and vehicles what didn't pan out the way that they wanted to in Update 14. And from my understanding, there's this base coding that's left behind from Black Matter that kind of prevents the easy adjustment of infantry speed with the vehicle speeds. So just be prepared for a lot of little tweaks here and there in these upcoming PTEs. Next here is kind of their redactment of the Breakcore map, smaller objective game mode. Basically, they're going to be taking their time on how they can implement this game mode. It's not going to be something that comes with Update 15 the way that they had said earlier. At this point in time, it's not critical to the future of Hell Let Loose. In fact, it'll probably divide the community more than anything. So I think it's a good idea to hold off on that for now until it can be, I don't even really know how you can make a smaller player model game mode in this without separating some of the players out of the player base and making it a weaker game overall. So we'll see how this all translates. But for now, Breakcore map, it's going to be on the back burner. And this is one that I really wanted to see come out of Team 17, which is the British Forces reworks. It looks to me like they're going to be changing up some of the classes, changing up some of the animations and firing rates for some of the weapons, as well as bringing in some of these desert uniforms that everybody has wanted. And I mean, it only makes sense. Like, why would you release desert maps and no desert uniforms with the rest of the game being set basically in Europe? But yeah, so for patch 14.3, I'd like to see a lot of the bolt actions for the British, the firing rate increased due to them, because they had that training with the Mad Minute and everything like that. And I hope they also take a look at, removing some of the weapons that are in these classes and swapping them out for more historically accurate ones. All that remains to be seen. So along with patch 14.3, they're also looking to bring the training environments and tutorials, so that it looks like it's going to be a redo of the field manual area to where it's also going to be interactive with videos and things like that. And then also we've got the promise of the practice range, which will be great because obviously there's a lot of things that players, you don't want to hop into a match and that's the first time you've tried out a new weapon, especially if it's like a limited ammo or a specific scenario weapon, and you sit there and you completely botch the attempt, with especially things like the Piet and rockets and things like that. You want to be able to understand the ranging and how to use those. The practice range is definitely a huge thing. I think a lot of new players are going to be able to go in there and kind of mess around with the weapons and get familiar with the game environment before they have to be thrown into the mix. So Team 17 says that included in the practice range will be targets such as scarecrows, sandbags, bullseye targets, and barrels. So as you can see in this image, they've got the ranging of the 10, 20, 30, 40 meter kind of markings. So you can see how weapons are impacted at different distances, which is a necessity, I think. In this screenshot, it looks like they've also got some kind of an obstacle course so people can learn controls. And then I'm assuming based on showing these vehicles on the practice range that you're going to be able to hop into them. Maybe, I don't know if you can just go from one thing to the next without changing classes and redeploying constantly, but we'll see. Next, we've got the in-game store, which it seems like they might also be taking a backseat on for now. It still definitely is coming to the game. However, they're saying that since they're not releasing all of the content in update 15, nor is it coming as soon as they were saying, that the in-game store may be taking a delay as well. However, they have promised that it will never offer any pay-to-win items, nor will they ever be non-historical cosmetics that break immersion. So we'll see how that plays out long term. So you can take a look at this here. This is a list of the bug fixes that Team 17 says are going to be kind of the front runners for patch 14.3. Some notable ones obviously are the game stutter and the obvious British reworks that you're seeing there. It doesn't say it here, but I really do hope that patch 14 also includes the class reworks for the British to be more historically accurate. One thing that always bugs me when I pick the British classes is how often I see the P14. I just don't understand that choice still to this day. And then, I have no idea how hard it is to implement a bipod rework for the Bren gun either. But should be a decent patch if they are able to knock out all these things listed here. Team 17 also finally addresses some legacy bugs, including the loadout bug and the grenade bug. It still to this day looks like there's some coding. I don't know if this is from Black Matter or just an Unreal Engine issue, but the loadout bug just does not seem to be playing nicely. We'll see what Team 17 is able to do with this time, as they're basically saying for the foreseeable year, all future updates and patches are going to be towards, health of the game. So we'll see if they're able to actually finally knock out the loadout bug and the grenade bug. The grenade bug, it does seem like they've got some understanding of how it works and why it happens. But again, we'll see what they're able to do with this time. Next, they address console server browsing. And at this point in time, it still, seems like it's just something that's on the table that they're trying to fix and look into. And I get the crossplay makes things difficult between like the PS5 and the Xbox. But as a quality of life thing, especially for console, I think this is something that really needs to happen for the console game to continue to have a healthy player base. Because as soon as the next big game comes out, if they haven't figured out a way to get console browsing in, people are going to leave because they want to be able to play with their friends. And it's at this point, it's basically just a luck of the draw if you end up in the same game with them. Next in the dev brief, it looks like we've got obviously some small news on new maps and DLC, which I think will be very interesting as the roadmap is being abandoned for the extra factions and the Breakcore objective game mode. I'm happy to see that the British and German forces will be getting their desert uniforms, but I can't imagine there's going to be a ton of US based maps coming. So I'm hoping to see a lot more British and a few more Russian maps coming our way. They've also mentioned that there is a night map variant of Sainte Marie du Mont coming out. That's another thing I could potentially see them doing, is just some night variants of some of the maps we've already got, which, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's a welcomed addition. I mean, World War II for the United States did kick off basically at night on June 6th. Also, if you're interested, on July 13th, the Summer Warfare DLC is coming out, which brings the addition of the US M1943 combat uniform, which is basically kind of a Ranger green uniform. A lot of people are interested in that, but make sure that you get it because it is a seasonal thing. It is not something that's around all year long. Once summer is over, they typically take it down from the Steam store. The next topic on the dev brief goes into the PTEs and how they will work. You can pause the screen and read this if you want to. Basically, patch 14.2 will be coming on the 20th of July, and it'll be looking into testing of the readjustments of the player locomotions, confirming of a grenade bug fix, which I would love to see that. And then obviously just more analytics for hopefully figuring out the loadout bug and any other issues that they're currently trying to get feedback on, which leads into the PC server performance testing. And, you know, this addresses the long-term issues of the rubber banding and stuttering. It seems like the rubber banding, they've got some kind of a fix for coming out with a command line coding change for the G Portal servers. Hopefully that translates to the other types of servers that they've got in the game. But again, all this is waiting to be seen. For the stuttering, it does seem that there is a little bit more work that's going to be needed. There's some leftover code from Black Matter, apparently, as well as some global positioning rebasing that they're stating causes some of the issues. And it definitely seems like Team 17 has some work cut out for them if they want to get the health of the base game to the point where it's not something that causes people to have a bad taste in their mouth. Team 17 also addresses in this dev brief that they don't believe that the game analytics programming is what's causing any of these issues. And I'm not a game developer, so if that's the case, then that's the case. I hope that that is an accurate take from them. And analytics capturing is definitely a key part in making sure that the game stays in a healthy place and to also fix some of these legacy issues that are plaguing the game. However, they do say that the leftover code should be removed for patch for 14.3 that Black Matter apparently left in the backlogs of the game. Whether or not that has any effect, we'll see it as well. I think that this was a much better dev brief than what we had been getting. I'm not a big fan of the vague answers and corporate answers that you tend to get when, I get it because not everything can be answered at the drop of a hat, but, they've had control of this game for 6 months, and I think their sights were set at bringing content and kind of recouping some of their monetary value that was spent purchasing the Hell Let Loose brand. And what they should have been doing is listening to some of these issues that the community has had for a really long time. So I'm happy to see where this is going, at least based off of this dev brief. Again, they've got a lot that they're going to have to do to earn back a large portion of the community's trust. But, it is Hell Let Loose, so I will be here waiting for it. Hopefully Hell Let Loose can kind of return to the hype train that it had been gathering for a while. And, some of the older, more veteran players decide to come back to the game, especially if everything kind of gets ironed out. But we'll see how it all pans out. Obviously, the rest of 2023 is going to be very interesting for Hell Let Loose. But yeah, I will link the dev brief in the comments below so you guys can go read it all yourselves. That's it for me, guys. I will see you guys on the battlefield. And until next time, stay frosty.